Hey, so I recently did a jiu-jitsu competition and I'd say that the day overall was a pretty good outcome. Despite some of the results not going what I'd hoped for, I accomplished the goals and the targets in which that I set out for that day, and which for me personally was a huge win. So this video is going to be a bit about the day prior to competition, the day of competition, as well as some insights I learned after the competition and when I thought it was a good idea to be thinking of the lessons I learned at 4 in the morning. Catch you in the next clip. So, it is a day out from competition and I'm definitely on weight. In fact, I'm 1.5 kilos below what I would need to be for competition. So in respect to my dietary intake or nutritional intake, it's going to look very similar to that of any other Saturday. Just paying attention to consuming adequate protein, an adequate amount of carbohydrates, and I guess a moderate amount of fats for what that would be for me. What we're starting off with today is an orange, some pineapple, and some beef liver. Now, it's not because any of those foods will give me special superpowers, although it would be pretty cool if they could. But anyway, I'll catch you in the next clip. Okay, so I'm also planning my food for the day, or at least my meals for the day. And yes, this is open. Planning to have some rice cakes, and no, just because they're organic doesn't mean that they're going to give me superpowers as well. Have some honey on top of that, be sipping on some coconut water throughout the day, and potentially look into having a pinch or two of some salt. That way, my crappy performance cannot be blamed on whether or not I was adequately fueled or not properly. Okay, so the plan is to hit a quick sauna session, and no, it's not to do with anything regarding my weight, but more so to do with the phenomenon that it can be a really useful strategy to facilitate or at least regulate my nervous system and potentially lean me towards a more parasympathetic state. And a parasympathetic state is the state in which that the body is able to recover. Now, whether or not this has any acute effects and leads to any favorable, I guess, cardiac, autonomic, nervous system outcomes within the next 24 hours, not sure, but my intuition is leaning me towards just doing it for a bit. So yeah, I'm gonna go do that, and I'll catch you in the next clip.
see what is
A lot of this is personal, and I'm unsure if there's any actual information or literature to back up what I'm saying, but here we go.
So there is likely a spectrum that exists between being in the mindset of being a good coach compared to an athlete, and one may lend itself better for training, behaving, and therefore increasing the chances of performing well. Second, and this is only my opinion, is the battle between performing in a manner that lends itself towards lower compared to a higher risk situation and scrambles. Third, similar to the one above, however regarding to what more training may need to reflect in the time prior to the upcoming competition. Lastly, and the one above probably facilitates this a little, but it's important to consider the theoretical versus practical application of certain techniques. As a coach and an individual who consults individuals about problems they may be having or goals they're seeking, I often approach things with a coach's mindset, which is to problem solve, which is not wrong, but I suspect in times of competition, it may be more beneficial to adopt an athlete's mindset. Winning requires a bit more selfishness than being a good coach, and probably needs to be closer to the end near the athlete. Second, and this is more personal, is to consider taking more risks throughout the match itself, and trying to practice that in training as competition approaches. Third is to consider that it may be worthwhile to accept or pursue more chaotic positions as the competition gets closer. Being more aggressive may help you regulate intensity better, and also recognizing the difficulty of certain positions and moves when done at a higher pace, akin to a match perhaps. Lastly, again, I like theory and learning, but sometimes the moves or techniques you learn become hard to practically apply in a match-like situation, something I quickly learned in the beginning of the match. Ultimately, you're trying to move away from theoretical and isolated techniques to more of an integrated approach geared to winning that generally tests the practicality of your moves.